Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be talking about productivity, screen real estate, and how to build a professional-grade command center without spending a professional-grade fortune. If you are a day trader, a programmer, a data analyst, or just someone who keeps 50 browser tabs open at once, you know the struggle. You know the pain of constantly minimizing and maximizing windows. You know the frustration of Alt-Tab fatigue. You feel like your single monitor or even your dual monitor setup is actually choking your workflow. You need more pixels. You need to see everything at once. Usually, the solution to this problem is expensive. You think you need a high-end gaming graphics card that costs hundreds or even thousands of dollars just to plug in 3 or 4 monitors. Or you try to use those cheap USB to HDMI adapters that lag, stutter, and slow down your computer's CPU. But what if I told you there is a hidden gem in the hardware world, a card that is compact, energy efficient, and designed specifically for business professionals who need to drive up to 4 4K displays simultaneously? Today, we're doing a comprehensive deep dive into the NVIDIA NVS 510, specifically the model 0B47077. This is not a flashy gaming card with RGB lights. This is a workhorse. It is a tool designed for one thing: serious productivity. By the end of this video, you will know exactly if this 2GB powerhouse is the missing link in your office setup. Before we get started, if you are looking to upgrade your setup, I have left a direct link to the NVIDIA NVS 510 on Amazon in the description below. That link will take you to the best current pricing and availability. Clicking that link helps support this channel so we can keep bringing you these deep dive reviews. Now, let's get into the details. Let's strip away the marketing fluff and look at the raw data. The NVIDIA NVS 510 is built on the Kepler architecture. Now, for the tech enthusiasts listening, you know Kepler is a mature architecture. It's been around for a while. But for 2D workstation applications, things like charts, spreadsheets, code, and web browsers, it remains incredibly efficient and stable. We are looking specifically at the Lenovo 0B47077 variant of the NVS 510 today. First, let's talk about the memory. This card comes equipped with 2 GB of DDR3 SD-RAM. I can hear some of you asking right now, is 2 GB enough in this day and age? The answer depends entirely on what you are doing. If you are trying to play the latest AAA video games, absolutely not, but that is not what this card is for. For 2D windows, browser tabs, financial charts, and digital signage, 2 GB of dedicated video memory is actually plenty of headroom. It allows the card to store the frame buffers for high-resolution displays without eating into your computer's main system RAM. The memory clock speed sits at 891 MHz, and combined with a 128-bit memory interface, this provides a memory bandwidth of about 28.5 GB per second. These numbers reinforce that this is a card built for stability and display output, not for calculating complex 3D lighting or physics in video games. The graphics card interface is a standard PCIe Express 2.0 x16. This is great news because it means the card is compatible with virtually any desktop motherboard produced in the last decade. Whether you have a brand new workstation or you're upgrading an older Office Dell or HP tower to turn it into a trading machine, this card will slot right in. It is universally compatible. But here's the headline feature, the reason we are all here: the video output interface. If you look at the back bracket of the NVS 510, you will see 4 Mini-DisplayPort connectors. This is how the NVS 510 manages to fit 4 display support into such a tiny, low-profile bracket. Most standard cards can only fit 1 or 2 big HDMI ports. By using Mini-DisplayPort, NVIDIA gives you massive output potential in a single slot. And finally, the resolution. This is where the NVS 510 punches way above its weight class. It supports a display resolution maximum of 3840 by 2160. Yes, that is 4K. This card can drive 4 separate displays at 4K resolution. That's an insane amount of pixel density for a card of this size and price point. Now let's talk about the physical design, because this is often overlooked, but it's crucial for office builds. The NVS 510 is a low-profile card. Why does this matter? Many modern offices use small form-factor PCs. Think of those slim towers from Lenovo, Dell Optiplex, or HP Elite Desk. A giant RTX gaming card simply won't fit inside those cases physically. It's too tall and too thick. The NVS 510 is designed to fit into those tight spaces. It usually comes with a low-profile bracket included or attached, specifically for those slim cases. However, always check the specific listing in the description to see which bracket is pre-installed on the unit you're buying. Speaking of those small cases, let's talk about power supplies. This is a huge concern for anyone upgrading a pre-built computer. The maximum power consumption of the NVS 510 is just 35 watts. This is incredible efficiency. To put that in perspective, a modern high-end gaming card might draw 300 to 450 watts. Why is this low wattage important to you? There are 3 reasons. First, you don't need extra cables. You don't need to hunt for those 6-pin or 8-pin power cables from your power supply. The card draws all the power it needs directly from the PCIe slot on the motherboard. This makes installation a breeze, literally plug and play. Second is heat management. 35 watts means very little heat. The single active fan on the card is ultra quiet. If you are recording audio, working in a quiet library environment, or just hate the sound of jet engine fans spinning up while you're trying to focus, this card is silent.
Third is cost. It puts less strain on your electricity bill if you are running computers 24/7, specifically if you are using this for a server room or a digital signage setup in a business. So we've established the specs, but is this card for you? Let's break down the perfect use cases for the NVIDIA NVS 510. Use case number 1 is the financial trader. If you are into Forex, crypto, or stock trading, you know that information is speed. You need a chart for Bitcoin, a chart for the S&P 500, a news feed, and your execution platform open all at once. Alt-tabbing can cost you money. You cannot afford to miss a breakout because your window was minimized. The NVS 510 allows you to create a quad monitor wall. You can have a dedicated screen for every time frame. Because trading platforms are essentially 2D data visualizations, the 2GB DDR3 RAM is perfectly sufficient. This card is the industry standard for trading floors for a reason. Use case number 2 is the productivity power user. I'm talking about writers, researchers, and programmers. Imagine having your code on one screen, the documentation on the second, your live preview on the third, and your Slack or email on the fourth. This is the unified desktop experience. The NVS 510 supports NVIDIA's NVIDIA desktop management software. This software is brilliant. It lets you create virtual grids to snap your windows into place, so your workspace is always organized perfectly. Use case number 3 is digital signage. Do you own a business? Maybe a restaurant with digital menus, a waiting room with information displays, or a real estate office showing listings in the window? This card can drive 4 4K TVs simultaneously. It's reliable, designed to run 24/7, and consumes very little power. It is a set-it-and-forget-it solution for commercial displays. Use case number 4 is the budget workstation upgrader. If you have an older PC that still has a decent CPU, like an i5 or i7, but it has weak integrated graphics, the NVS 510 is the cheapest way to breathe new life into it. Suddenly, that old office PC can drive a modern 4K monitor setup, extending the life of your hardware by years. However, I need to issue a quick warning. Who is this not for? Gamers. Please do not buy this for gaming. The DDR3 memory in older architecture will struggle with anything beyond very basic or very old titles. It is not designed for high frame rates or 3D rendering. If you want a game, check out the GTX or RTX series. But if you want to get work done, stay tuned, because we are about to get into the setup guide. Let's get practical. You buy the card, it arrives. Now how do you connect your monitors? As I mentioned, the OB47077 model utilizes 4 Mini-DisplayPort connectors. Most standard monitors today use HDMI or full-size DisplayPort.
This means you will likely need adapters or specific cables. If your monitors have DisplayPort inputs, you just need a Mini-DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable. These are cheap and reliable. However, if you are using standard HDMI monitors or TVs, you need to be careful. You need active adapters. This is a very common mistake people make. When buying adapters, especially if you want to run 4K resolution, make sure you buy active adapters, not passive ones. Passive adapters might limit you to 2 screens or lower resolutions. For the NVS 510 to drive 4 screens seamlessly, active adapters are the way to go. I have linked some reliable, high-rated adapters in the description below that work perfectly with this specific card, so you don't have to guess which ones to buy. Another connectivity feature is the audio. Yes, DisplayPort carries audio, so if your monitors have built-in speakers, the NVS 510 can send sound to them without extra audio cables, keeping your desk wire-free. If you are intimidated by the idea of opening your computer to install this, don't be. Installing the NVS 510 is one of the easiest upgrades you can perform. Here is the step-by-step process. First, power down your PC and unplug the power cable. Slide off the side panel of your case. Locate the long PCIe X16 slot. It's usually the one closest to the CPU at the top of the motherboard. Remove the metal cover on the back of the case corresponding to that slot. Line up the gold pins of the NVS 510 with the slot. Push down firmly but gently until you hear a satisfying click. Screw the bracket into the case so the card doesn't wobble. Put the side panel back on, plug in your Mini-DisplayPort cables, and boot up. Once you boot into Windows, Windows 10 and Windows 11 are very good at automatically finding drivers. However, for the best experience, you should head to the NVIDIA website and download the latest NVIDIA Enterprise or Quadro drivers. Yes, this card uses the professional enterprise drivers, which are tested for stability much more rigorously than standard game-ready drivers. This ensures your screens won't flicker or crash in the middle of a trading session. You might be wondering, why should I buy this older NVS 510 when I could buy something newer like a Quadro P620 or a T1000? It comes down to one word: value. Newer professional cards like the NVIDIA T1000 are fantastic, yes, but they can cost 3 to 4 times as much as a refurbished or new old stock NVS 510. If you are doing heavy 3D CAD work like SolidWorks or AutoCAD 3D, then yes, spend the extra money for a T1000 or RTX card. But if your work is strictly 2D, spreadsheets, charts, code, web browsers, the extra power of a newer card is wasted money. You are paying for 3D capability you will never use. The NVS 510 sits in that sweet spot. It hits the 4-monitor 4K benchmark at a fraction of the cost of modern GPUs. It is the most cost-effective way to get 4 4K signals out of a single PCIe slot. I also want to address USB to HDMI adapters. You might have seen those USB dongles that let you add a screen. I generally advise against those for a primary setup. USB adapters use your CPU to render the graphics, which can slow down your system and introduce lag, especially if you are running multiple adapters. An NVS 510 has dedicated hardware for this, making it a much more stable and responsive solution for professional use. CPU power to compress video, which can slow down your computer and cause laggy mouse movement. The NVS 510 is a dedicated GPU. It handles all the heavy lifting, leaving your CPU free to run your applications. It is a much smoother, hardware-native solution. Let's summarize everything into a clear pros and cons list to help you make your final decision. Let's start with the pros. Number 1 is quad display support. The ability to drive 4 displays simultaneously from one card is the main selling point. Number 2 is 4K resolution support. Even though the card is older, it handles 3840 by 2160 perfectly fine for desktop use. Number 3 is energy efficiency. At only 35W max power draw, it's friendly to your electric bill and your power supply. Number 4 is the form factor. It is single slot and low profile compatible, making it fit almost anywhere. Number 5 is reliability. This is enterprise-grade hardware designed for 24/7 operation. And finally, price. It offers excellent value for multi-monitor setups compared to modern alternatives. Now for the cons. We have to be fair. Number 1 is gaming performance. It is very poor. Do not buy this for gaming. Number 2 is connectors. The Mini-DisplayPort requires adapters if you have HDMI screens, which is an extra small cost to consider. Number 3 is memory. The 2GB DDR3 is limited for intensive 3D video editing or rendering. If you are editing 4K video all day, you might want something with more VRAM. And number 4 is age. It is an older architecture, so eventually driver support will end, though currently it works perfectly fine on modern Windows versions. So, is the NVIDIA NVS 510 OB47077 worth it? If you are a professional looking to expand your digital workspace without breaking the bank, the answer is a resounding yes. It is a dedicated tool for a specific job, giving you pixels. Lots of them. For traders, programmers, and multitaskers, upgrading to a 3 or 4 monitor setup is the single biggest productivity boost you can make. It changes how you work. It stops the constant context switching of minimizing windows, and the NVS 510 makes that upgrade affordable and easy. Stop squinting at a single screen. Stop losing your place in your spreadsheets. Expand your view. I have done the research to find the best listings for the NVIDIA NVS 510. You can find the best price available right now by clicking the link in the description below. I've also included links to the correct active Mini-DisplayPort adapters you will need. If this deep dive helped you understand what this card can do, please hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this video to other people trying to build their dream desk setup. And if you have any questions about compatibility with your specific PC, drop a comment below. I try to answer as many as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.